Tonight we're going to talk about financial aid, which plays a major role in helping many students, like you all here tonight, afford college. Okay, and when you think about the cost of college, you're probably picturing things like tuition, books, or maybe even dorm fees. And those are definitely a part of the costs that we're going to discuss tonight. But college costs include more than just classes and textbooks. To really understand how financial aid works, it helps to first understand everything that goes into the total cost of attending college. So each college or university that offers federal aid is required to create and update something called the cost of attendance. And we'll refer to it as the COA or COA. And this is an estimate of what it will cost a student to attend school for one academic year. So that would be for one fall semester and then the following spring semester. And it's designed to help students and families understand and plan for the full range of expenses that they may face. The cost of attendance is also what schools use to determine how much financial aid you're eligible to receive. In fact, the total amount of your financial aid cannot exceed your estimated cost of attendance. Okay, now because every student is different, the cost of attendance is just an estimate. Your actual expenses that you'll experience may be higher or lower depending on things like where you live, how you get around, or what supplies you end up purchasing. And now at UC Berkeley and like many other universities and colleges, the cost of attendance is reviewed and updated every year to make sure it reflects current costs for students within that particular region. The cost of attendance includes a range of educational expenses like tuition and fees, books and supplies, housing and food, transportation, and even personal expenses like toiletries or laundry. Now, of these different components of the cost of attendance, we categorize them into two separate categories, which includes direct costs, and these are the costs that are billed directly from the school, like tuition or campus housing and meal plans if the student decides to live on campus. On the other hand, we have indirect costs, and these aren't billed by the school. So these are going to be your expenses like toiletries, supplies. If you're living off campus, that would also include off-campus housing and food. Now here is one important point regarding cost of attendance that I'd like for you all to remember. Cost of attendance can vary a lot, okay? It can vary within the college, it can vary from college to college. And that's why comparing financial aid offers is more about just tuition. You want to make sure you're taking into consideration the full picture, okay? Making sure that you're taking into consideration all of the possible expenses that might come about while attending school. So what I have here on the screen is an example of a cost of attendance for an undergraduate student here at UC Berkeley for the upcoming academic year. This student is a California resident enrolled full-time, and the numbers you see here represent estimated costs for both the fall and spring semesters. So that's what we refer to again as the full academic year. And as you can see, costs can vary depending on where a student lives. And at the top, you'll see things like tuition and fees, okay, of this table, housing, food, and health insurance. Again, these are our direct costs. These are the costs for students that are getting these charges directly from the university. And the second portion of this table here refer to those indirect costs. Now, if you're taking a look at the different expenses here, you'll see that there are some substantial differences in expenses for those living in a residence hall when you're looking at indirect and direct costs versus those living off campus in an off-campus apartment. Okay, so these different costs are going to reflect, again, what is being charged by the university and what may be charged by other entities. And just keeping in mind that everyone's actual expenses are going to look a little bit different depending on the different choices that you have. So use this estimated cost of attendance as a starting point. And as you get closer to applying, it's a good idea to start researching costs, comparing options, and begin to think about what kind of budget works for you. So now you've seen a little bit of what goes into the cost of college, and you might be thinking, how do students actually afford all of this? So the good news is you're not expected to figure it out all on your own or pay for everything out of pocket. So that's what your financial aid besties are here for. So up next, we're going to walk you through the applications that help you access financial aid, what they are and who should complete them, and when to get started. So there are three main financial aid applications that you may have already heard of at this point. So first you have the FAFSA, the CATA, which is a California state application, and the CSS profile. To be considered for financial aid, you must complete at least one of these applications, and the right one for you depends on your specific situation. And we'll talk about each of these applications in a little bit more detail with the upcoming slides. Colleges and universities use this information to determine how much financial aid you are eligible to receive. Now, here's something important to remember. These applications must be completed every year you want to be considered for financial aid. It's not something you do just once and that's it. Also, many schools and states, including California, have priority deadlines. So submitting your application on time can make a big difference in how much financial aid you receive. And if you miss a deadline, it could mean missing out on free money. So make sure when you are applying to schools that you're also checking to see if that school has a priority deadline for those aid applications. If you're planning to start college in fall 2026, the FAFSA will be available for you to complete starting October 1st of 2025. If you're applying to schools in California, you'll want to submit your FAFSA by the California State Priority Deadline, which usually falls on March 2nd or 3rd. All right, so we have next the California DREAM Act application, or the CATA. This is an application for California students who aren't eligible to complete the FAFSA. Not all states have a state-specific financial aid application, but there are some states out there that do have that. So check and see if there is a state application that you may want to consider completing. And the CATA works very similarly to the FAFSA. So a new application for the CATA becomes available every fall for the next academic year. And it shares the same priority deadline, which again usually lands on March 2nd or March 3rd. And just like with the FAFSA, if you miss the priority deadline, still apply. You never know what kinds of aid you qualify for unless you submit an application. And the last financial aid application that I will be covering is the CSS profile, which stands for the College Scholarship Service Profile. And one important difference with this application when compared to the FAFSA and the CATA is it is not free. Now, there are fee waivers available for students whose household income is under $100,000 a year, so many students don't end up paying for anything when it comes to this application. So depending on your financial situation and each college's awarding process, your financial aid package may include a mix of different types of aid, some that are based on financial need and some that don't require any consideration of financial need at all. So we group these into two main categories. You have need-based aid and non-need-based aid. So need-based aid, as you can imagine, is awarded to students who meet certain financial need requirements. Non-need-based aid is awarded based on things like merit, talent, or other criteria and doesn't take into account financial need. Both types of aid are valuable, and many students often receive a combination of the two.
There are also institutional scholarships, so those are awards that come directly from the university. Institutional scholarships can be need-based, or they can also be merit-based. We wanted to spotlight specifically for University of California, we have the Regent and Chancellor Scholarship, and this can cover up to the full cost of attendance. There is no additional application required, and there's other benefits if you are selected as an RC scholar, such as financial literacy counseling and priority housing. In California, we also have the Middle Class Scholarship. Very important to fill out your aid application by the priority deadline to be considered for this. So scholarships, external scholarships or outside scholarships, they can come from a variety of sources. So you may be able to receive outside scholarships from universities, from private organizations, nonprofits, even employers like parent employers. You can use databases to search for outside scholarships, visit your school's financial aid office. We want to stress that starting early is essential, as is meeting all the deadlines. Researching deadlines and requirements will help you plan ahead and ensure that you have time to gather the necessary documents to showcase your achievements. A question we often get is, what is work study? So work study is a really great financial aid program that can help students fund their education with part-time employment, and you're automatically considered for it based on your financial need on your aid application. There are a lot of benefits to work study, so I wouldn't sleep on it. It definitely helps students graduate with less loan debt because they're working instead of borrowing. The UC system specifically offers 2 plans, which guarantees that in-state system-wide tuition fees are fully covered for eligible California students. So we have the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. We also have the Native American Opportunity Plan. Definitely reach out to our office if you have any questions. So an important term that you'll hear when you're comparing your financial aid offers is net cost. And what net cost refers to is the amount of funding you, the student, may need in addition to your offered grants and scholarships to meet all of your educational expenses and your cost of attendance for 1 year. So when you see the net cost, this is not necessarily the amount you'll owe the university. It can be met through a variety of resources. So this is an example of how you can use the net cost as a comparison. So we have 3 different universities. They all have different costs of attendance. And as you might see, the university that is the lowest cost of attendance is not necessarily the lowest net cost for the student. So based on the gift aid that you're being offered from the school, your total net cost could be lower even if the sticker price of the university is a lot higher.
So to provide some additional help to assist you with this journey, we're going to wrap it up with some top 10 tips and tricks. So number 1, start early. Make sure that you give yourself enough time to explore your options. Keep your grades up. Good grades can help you qualify for merit-based scholarships. Complete your FAFSA or CATA on time. Next, if you are a FAFSA filer, make sure you create your FSA ID early. This is going to be your entry into completing the FAFSA. And next, learn about financial aid. Okay, again, attending sessions like this is so helpful and so important to help you understand how to navigate this sometimes very confusing process. Next, don't assume that you will not qualify for aid. Submit an application. Submitting a FAFSA, or in California, submitting a CATA is free. Okay, submitting an application won't hurt you. At the very least, you'll see what kind of financial aid you're eligible to receive. Next, understand your awards. So after you receive your award offer, make sure you know the parameters of those awards. Make sure you're familiar with the terms. Make sure you're familiar with the requirements. Next, stay organized. Track deadlines, keep documents in one place, and check your email regularly. And lastly, find the net cost, okay? Look beyond the cost of attendance and use the net cost, which is that cost of attendance minus any gift aid provided by the university, to see what you'll actually have to pay at each school, either out of pocket or with additional outside scholarships, student loans, or work study. Now, if you would like to talk to someone about the process, I recommend for our high school students to reach out to your high school counselors. But alternatively, if you want to speak with someone here at UC Berkeley, we do have a wonderful group of staff located within our Cal Student Central office who can assist students with financial aid questions and enrollment questions, and who will be especially helpful after you've submitted your admissions application to UC Berkeley.